Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and in this last week we learned why we don't have any news regarding the Deep Dark or the Warden, and why it hasn't shown up in any of the 1.18 snapshots so far, because the developer behind both of those features, King B Dogs, tweeted out saying that although development is going well, one of the biggest challenges is perfecting AI and porting, presumably to Bedrock, but he is hoping for the best. However, this does raise the obvious questions, like I hope the Deep Dark isn't completely empty, you have an infinite world that keeps generating, and there's just one main boss mob down there, and we hear so much about this one boss mob and about how they're trying to work on the AI of that mob, with King B Dogs even saying we want it to feel smart, and indeed it's one of the two things holding it up. However, the Warden is not the only reason to go to the Deep Dark, as it sounds like King B Dogs even directly confirmed this week that there are still reasons to go to the Deep Dark beyond whatever exclusive loot they do or don't add, because there are still going to be the unique blocks, the Skulk, Skulk Sensors, Skulk Veins, and Skulk Catalysts. I do think it's a little bit of a weak reasoning to be like, yeah, there are some weird redstone features there, and then there might not be anything else that's particularly unique. I think it still does need to have some unique draw to it. However, it is totally worth saying that, like, yeah, even if they added literally nothing and they released the Deep Dark in the form that we saw at Minecon Live last year, and they've done nothing in the last year, then we would still have a ton of new blocks to play around with that it'd be worth going to this biome specifically to get. One of the reasons I love Lush Caves is because they have a ton of clay, and one of the reasons people like Dripstone Caves is because you get those Dripstone blocks and those Dripstone things themselves that can be pretty darn handy. One of the great things about new caves are the new blocks that they provide, and so I see a lot of comments on my videos saying things like, the Deep Dark had better be fleshed out more than an unkillable mob. The Warden is just walk around and kill. What needs fleshing out on that? And again, I feel like just walk around and kill is what needs fleshing out on. I feel like that's why we need to do more AI changes and why they're going to be doing that, because unlike the AI that, say, a zombie or a skeleton uses, where they just chase you blindly, that's going to get very boring very quickly once you work out how to avoid the Warden. The Warden is meant to be the natural disaster, the thing you're trying to get away from at all costs, and although I think there is a mistake not making it rewarding for killing it in some way and not giving you an easy way to do that we've seen off yet, I still think the goat horn is a great idea. It makes a loud noise, and the Warden doesn't like loud noises. Just saying, there's a great opportunity. But yeah, although even if they don't flesh that out more, the Deep Dark is still a whole biome in and of itself. The Warden is just one terrifying thing about that biome, and so I would argue it's actually the most fleshed out of the three underground biomes, because, you know, once you go beyond the blocks, what does a Dripstone Cave or a Lush Cave really give you? And speaking of things that you're not getting, Libanana says, why did they think it was a good idea to do this? And that comment was on my Minecraft 1.18 Changes Flying Forever video, where I spoke about the Elytra, nerfs and buffs. Arguably, the firework rockets have been nerfed and the Elytra has been buffed, is how I would phrase that. But basically, they changed flying in this last week so that gliding takes no durability on your Elytra, but using fireworks does. So if you use a lot of fireworks, your Elytra will die a lot sooner, whereas if you use no fireworks, then your Elytra will never die. And I love these changes because I think it's a clever way to take the Elytra back to what it was really meant to be, which was this gliding ability. You can jump off a high point, let's say a cliff perhaps, maybe in a Caves and Cliffs update, and you can glide freely and kind of enjoy the view without fearing like, oh, every second I'm in the air, I'm damaging my Elytra. Whereas when you're trying to fly around as fast as you can, now you actually have to consider like, oh yeah, the faster I go, the more that's going to use durability, which is how I guess most things work, right? Like you'll use up a car engine more going at high speed than low speed. Is that true actually? I know you use more battery power per like mile or kilometer driven if you go too fast, so I'm sure it must be true for regular engines too. My point here is that like, actually encouraging you to glide again, as opposed to, again, everyone has to fly right now because it's the most efficient thing. And also, I don't think it actually affects you if you have mending your Elytra anyway, because everyone has enough experience in their world that it doesn't really affect most things. And so I think it was a pretty decent change, and I feel like it's very overblown because, again, people are very scared of change, which is why, in response to my idea about being able to, link a lot of minecarts together, X4M43L says, I mean, you can transport many minecarts at once with furnace minecarts, and I mean, although I could respond, tell me you're a Java player without telling me you're a Java player, I actually, this is a sad moment for me. But yeah, a wacky fact about Minecraft Bedrock is that there are no furnace minecarts, and so every furnace minecart that you ever had on Console Edition, which was based loosely on Java, got turned into a regular minecart, and there's still a lot of minecarts in my world that used to be furnace minecarts, and I'm still very sad about it. But yeah, it's one of those interesting points about parity. Every single update that comes out, Minecraft says, we want Bedrock and Java to be exactly the same, we're going to name the versions the same, etc, 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 but then every single update, they're making them come further and further apart. I mean, take for example the fact that the Warden has been working on Java for a while, it sounds like, but it's not there on Bedrock. But then also take the fact that the goat horn was removed from Bedrock's release so they could match Java. They're trying very hard, but they're not quite succeeding in a lot of ways. And then at the same time, there's all these old features, even one as useful and, loving as the furnace minecart. I definitely love the furnace minecart. It's definitely so useful. My point here, to basically paraphrase Prow, who's a big advocate for Java Bedrock parity, because so many people have no idea which version they're playing, it shouldn't be so hard to work out how something basic will work, is that they need to make this a key priority in every update. It's not enough to do the minimum, because every update is still moving Java and Bedrock slightly further apart, and that's not how you reach parity. You have to make very serious strides towards it, and I don't know how I turned your question about how you don't actually need to chain minecarts together into one about Bedrock parity, but I did it anyway. Speaking of things that I did anyway, lol, why do animals get so close to you? Those animals stay like 6 meters away from me, and the closest I get to animals are with pigeons and geese are calm. And so yeah, it's because I got bit by a geese in a recent story, and then also bit by a moorhen, and then I managed to feed this fox some ham this last week. Now, I don't know why, but London has so many foxes. I see them everywhere. I see more foxes than I see cats when I walk around at night, and yeah, they're very adorable. They mostly don't really like humans, but every now and then you find a fox that just doesn't care and that you can get pretty close to. I want to pet a fox sometime. I feel like, worst case, they're gonna bite off one of my fingers, but like, do you need all 10 fingers to play Minecraft? I don't think so. Speaking of things you don't need to play Minecraft, can you flesh out both? I'm tired of Debs telling me it's one or the other. This is in reference to the Deep Dark and the Warden poll that King B Dogs did. I want it all released and completed in one full update. They have the time and the money to do it. It's literally their job. They should delay it if they feel like they can't finish on time. And I do agree to some large extent that, like, yeah, Minecraft is the best-selling game of all time. It's backed by Microsoft, the world's most or third most valuable company, depending on what time of day it is, but a multi-trillion-dollar company. I did get trillion, correct, by the way. And it's like, so how is it that they can't work out how to release all of the Caves and Cliffs features within one update? How is it that they can't flesh out the Warden fully, but also flesh out the Deep Dark? And the answer is that although it is a multi-trillion-dollar company that sold hundreds of millions of copies of a game, in reality, like when you're working on games and stuff like this, they usually use passion as the way to do it, and so it is just one guy working. Again, like, there are people that work on the textures and this and stuff, but almost every individual feature is going to be like one person's passion that day. Like, the goats were developed by one person. As we can tell from Cornerhard's realm input, like, the kick button was added to realms based on one person just being like, yeah, it is weird that you can't get people to leave your realms. It had not existed for years till that point, and so, like, you might think, like, yeah, it's hundreds of people. Organizing hundreds of people is very hard, and ultimately everything in life is about trade-offs. So it's like, we could work extra hard making sure that every individual feature is in here and we get it out in time, but then developers are going to have to work longer hours. Or it could be like, yeah, but we're going to make sure developers never have to crunch, and it's like, okay, so now the update takes, 2 to 3 times as long. Whatever it is, like, if you don't organize people correctly, it's not going to work. And I think that's where good management can come in correct, right? Like, making sure workers don't have to crunch too hard, but also making sure deadlines are met, but also making sure all the features are in there. And the fact that, Mojang has multiple, people on 7-figure salaries that are getting paid to do that, and then they're still not managing to deliver on a game that is worth as much as Minecraft is. It's like, yeah, that seems like a bit of a problem. But I think blaming on the game developers who just want to work on features and then go home to their families is probably not the right place to aim your blame, especially on the internet. I appreciate the frustration, who doesn't? But speaking of frustration, Kelsey Scott took my frustration with Zodiac Signs from this meme to say, what witchy girl hurt you, Toy Cat? And obviously this was just a meme, it's just a joke. It's a way that I promote the streams that we've been doing where we drain an ocean. However, there is a little bit of validity to this of like, well, obviously Zodiac Signs are something that like, it's, you know, like, how can you not be a little bit like, yeah, that's a weird thing to believe. Like, people who are very spiritual, into these weird, you know, like Ouija boards and all that stuff. It's like, I understand the appeal a little bit. I understand that there is the tiniest bit of truth to Zodiac Signs. The month in which you are born does affect your personality in some pretty huge ways. However, a lot of people, not everyone who's into these, just, you know, some people will use it as like, oh, I don't need to self-improve. This is just the way I am. It's the way I'm meant to be. Oh, I get really angry with people for no reason. It's fine though, because I'm a Libra. And maybe the crazier one is like, oh yeah, my ex was a Scorpio, which explains why he was a pedophile. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, there's so many things that need to be mentioned as being wrong here. But I think the biggest one is that, like, instead of like personally trying to grow and like understand the world, it's like, oh no, everyone just, you know, it's like everyone just has their own box that they happen to be forever, and that's just how the world is. And I feel like, yeah, I personally, I think that learning about yourself and growing is a hard but like valuable thing. And if you just put it in the box of like, oh yeah, some people are just born certain ways, and so we can hate, you know, like maybe it helps you learn the live and let live philosophy that like people are going to be the way they are. But I also feel like you can use it to not improve yourself, and also to be especially judgy about people. But that's the internet for you, I guess. Speaking of the internet, what about the geology thing, where you look for things in gravel and stuff? And it took me a while to work out what he meant by the geology thing, and then I realized, oh, this is a case of bone apple tea, where it's Geology, you know, like Geology, you know, that like big update they were going to do. And you know what, first of all, I love that a lot. I love how people can mishear things, and then it's like the version of it in their brain. I have so many versions of that I don't even know about right now. It's crazy. But also, what's happening to archaeology? It's not coming in 1.18. It's probably not coming in 1.19 either. And you know what? Donnie says, I don't know if I misheard something, but I thought last year you said to vote for the glow squid because they obviously wanted you to vote for the ice villager. Was that actually what you said? I did say they obviously wanted me to vote for the ice villager, but what I actually did, if you recall correctly, is I sold my vote to the highest bidder on my Minecon live stream. And if this year they've said that they're not going to care about vote rigging, then you know what? I'm selling my vote this year as well. So that's the biggest reason to come to my Minecon live stream. Would you like to bribe me to vote your way and to tell some internet strangers to do so? I mean, you know, there's money in politics, so there can be money in Minecraft politics, right? Speaking of money in Minecraft politics, Nickel Plays says, why the fuck you start streaming when I just went to sleep? Ah! And you know what? I do have to mention that one of the most common types of like comments I get is like, oh, I just missed the stream. Oh, I just went to sleep, etc., etc., etc. And you know, obviously this is true. No matter what time of day I'm streaming, someone will have just gone to sleep or just gone to work or just woken up or whatever the case may be. And so I figure, you know what? Rather than doing my usual 8 p.m. streams, tomorrow on Sunday and maybe every Sunday, I'll start doing some streams at some weird times. So if you want to watch a earlier in the day stream, tomorrow is the perfect day for you. If you don't want to watch me drain an ocean, then you know what? You've picked the wrong channel to watch live streams from, because I hope you'll enjoy this video. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on star signs and philosophy and honestly, dumb things in between, then you can come along and you can watch that tomorrow, Tuesday, and Thursday. But most, because I think by Thursday next week, we're going to finish draining the ocean. I hope sooner than that, but you know, I'm not too optimistic. It's been 20 hours now, but this ocean is gonna go down. Unlike Virgos, am I right? Anyway, so thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let's hope we don't get demonetized, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.